Do you want to start absolutely destroying Nightfall's raids and Legend Lost sectors? Well, today I have an indestructible Stasis Hunter build that will supply you with infinite abilities, insanely good crowd control that will render enemies useless permanently, the ability to stun all 3 champion types, whether it be Unstoppable, Barrier, or Overload, and basically be able to have quintuple 100 stats. This build conquers everything up to Grandmaster Nightfalls, making this build viable in whatever content you are running. I'm DestinyVerse, and let's dive right in. We will be starting out with our exotic armor piece of choice, the Frosty's Leg Armor. Its exotic armor perk, Rapid Cooldown, increases the regeneration rate of our grenade, melee, and dodge by a whopping 200% when sprinting, which will effectively halve the time between ability uses while we are running across the map. That all in itself is incredibly powerful, but later in the video we will be able to get up to 700% ability regeneration, which is a little more than 3 times what the Frosty's all in itself gives us. We will be moving on to the ability screen where this build really comes together. Firstly, we will be taking the Gambler's Dodge, which grants us 1 charge of our melee when used near an enemy. Notice how I emphasized that it only gave 1 charge. This is because our melee Withering Blade applies 60 slow stacks on hit, meaning that hitting a single target within both of our charges will instantly freeze any non-boss enemy, rendering them useless for up to 9 seconds. For our grenade, we will be taking the Duskfield Grenade, a throwable object that will leave a field that slows and eventually freezes targets inside, which is great for crowd control to stop enemies from advancing. Moving on to aspects, we will be using Grim Harvest, which will make slowed or frozen targets drop a stasis start when defeated, which will grant us melee energy, resulting in an infinite melee waterfall. For our second aspect, we will take Touch of Winter, which will enhance the power of our Duskfield Grenade by increasing the size of the field and adding a stasis crystal in the middle. Moving on to our fragments, we'll take Whisper of Chains, which will make us take 40% less damage from all sources when near a friendly stasis crystal or frozen enemy, which is basically the Woven Mail of Stasis, the only difference being that this procs automatically while you need to do something else to gain Woven Mail. So in my opinion, this could actually be the better version of Woven Mail. Next up, we will take Whisper of Shards, which will grant us a whopping 500% grenade regeneration rate, which adds to Frosty's ability regen, which adds up to an astounding 700% grenade regeneration bonus. That's just while sprinting. We can do many other things like picking up Orbs of Power, using our melee ability to get our grenade even quicker. This will allow us to get our grenade back immediately after use. For our third fragment, we will take Whisper of Durance, which will simply make our slow and freeze last longer, along with our Duskfield Grenade and the second attack of Silence and Squall. Fourth, let's take Whisper of Hedrons, which will grant us 60 mobility, 60 resilience, 60 recovery, 30 stability, 15 aim assist, and 20 airborne effectiveness for 11 seconds after freezing a target. This means that we can focus on the bottom 3 stats with a minimum of 40 in the top stats to be able to achieve quintuple 100 stats all the time. For our final fragment, we will be taking Whisper of Rime, which will make small stasis shards heal 5 HP upon pickup, with large ones healing 35. If at full health, it will provide us with a small stasis overshield instead, capping out at 50 hit points, basically a 25% health increase. Combining this with the 40% damage reduction from Whisper of Chains and a 30% damage reduction from Tier 10 Resilience, we will be near unstoppable. Moving out of the subclass screen, let's move on to the armor mods. On the helmet, we will be going for Special Ammo Finder for our weapon in this video, along with Hands-On to grant super energy on melee final blows, and Harmonic Siphon to drop an Orb of Power on rapid stasis weapon final blows. On our gloves, we will be using Grenade Kickstart to spend armor charges that grants us grenade energy after use. Next, Bolstering Detonation to grant us our dodge when we deal damage with our grenade, along with impact induction to grant us grenade energy when dealing damage with our melee. On our chest armor, we will roll with any mix of resistances and reserves you would like. On our boots, we will take Absolution to grant super, grenade, melee, and class ability energy when picking up an orb of power, and Elemental Charge to grant us an armor charge from picking up Stasis crystals. Finally, better already to start regenerating health immediately after picking up an orb of power. And finally on the cloak, we'll take Reaper to spawn orbs of power after dodge use, Distribution to reduce all ability cooldowns when using our dodge near targets, and Bomber to grant a grenade energy when using our dodge. For our weapons of choice, I have multiple options. My first recommendation is Conditional Finality, which is the weapon you see on the thumbnail and the reason why we're using Special Ammo Finder. But if you do not have that weapon, either because you haven't tried the Root of Nightmares raid yet or your RNG sucks, my next recommendation would be Vergless Curve because it summons many Stasis crystals, which is basically a guaranteed 40% damage reduction and more. On the legendary side of the spectrum, weapons with Headstone work incredibly well in the Stasis build. The Slammer, a Stasis heavy sword, can also work incredibly good in our favor as well, and if you're looking for an easy to get one, I would recommend Unending Tempest, as you can easily just buy it from Shacks for a couple thousand glimmer and be done with it, and it can also roll with Headstone on top of all of that. The gameplay loop is insanely simple. Simply throw your Dust Field Grenade before an encounter and it'll freeze everything within the radius. Defeating those targets within will basically grant the entire thing back, and if it doesn't, all you have to do is dodge or get kills with your melee to get it right back. But other than that, I would like to thank you guys for watching, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you later.